Okay, okay, you guys ready?
Yeah. I didn't prepare for
Liza.
this. I didn't even read the questions.
Oh, well, then it's all spontaneous, right?
Did you guys
All
read
right.
the
Yeah, I have questions.
I'm really bad.
Oh, Karen. I thought
I got a lot going on, y'all.
I
Oh
knew
my
Cole would
God.
be on top of it. I knew you would, but I was like, I was even gonna ask you some questions. I was like, nah.
You look like you're so professional. Like I feel like I'm talking to you in the tropics somewhere. Like you're sitting like this, like you're just like you look so professional.
I got my foot up on the chair.
Karen's got me crying because I'm laughing so much.
Okay, sorry, I'm not gonna bogart this conversation anymore. Go ahead.
All
Yeah,
right, are we ready?
I have a turtleneck on and it's like 80 degrees. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we ready? All right. Welcome to the Mixed Dandelions podcast. I'm Jennifer. This is where we talk about being mixed, military, and moving on. So today I've got as my guest co-host, my little sister Karen, her friend Liza, and her friend Co. So say hi, everybody.
Hello.
So we'll just start with introducing yourselves. Give us, I guess, just say a little something about yourselves. How do you guys self-identify racially and or ethnically? What branch of the military you grew up in? Maybe how long that parent or guardian was in the military. Ko, why don't we start with you?
All right. So my name is Ko. Kotaro is the name, the whole name. I go by Ko. Born and raised in Okinawa, Japan. This is where I met these two young ladies right here. Lovely ladies, sorry. My father was a Marine. He served until 1995, I believe. 97, sorry, 96, 90s, late 90s. I grew up on a military base. I served in the Army myself for a couple years. Japanese and Black American is what I identify as, and that's what I am. My passport is Japanese passport, so I'm a Japanese citizen, and I live in America.
Oh. Okay, Liza, your turn.
Hi, I'm Laisa. I was born in the Philippines, came to the States when I was 10. We were in Bakersfield, then moved to Okinawa, Japan when 11, I think. Stayed there till I was 15, I think. My dad was in the Marine Corps. He served for over 20 years. And now we're here in California.
Karen.
I'm full Filipino.
Oh. Thank you.
I'm Karen. My dad was in the Air Force, for 30 years, 31 years?
30.
Yeah. Through my whole childhood. He didn't retire until I was 15. I identify as being Japanese, Okinawan, and white, and American nationality wise. So all my formative years were spent moving around and being in the military, up until I was 15 or 16 years old. So we moved around a lot, base to base, country to country. So
yes, I think so. All right, so the purpose of having you guys all on is because you guys grew, like, well, you met when you were young, right? Before you were teenagers or in that like 11, 12, 13-year-old middle schoolish, right?
Well, yeah.
And have been able to stay friends since. So were you going to say something, Karen?
No, I was saying we were 12. Well, me and Co were 12 because our birthdays are one day apart.
Oh,
I think Liza was 13 probably, right? Liza, you're like a year older. So like, yeah, we were in 8th grade.
So do you guys remember like when you met? Like what was give us the scene.
Kubasaki High School is where Kubasaki, Liza and I met first in 7th grade. Mr. Polgar, I think it was Mr. Polgar's class.
Mr. Polgar?
Yeah.
Wasn't he like geography or?
Yeah.
I loved him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so 7th grade, at that time, Kubasaki was 7 through 12.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then, so the year after is when we went to Leicester, and then that's where we met Karen. But 7th grade, Kubasaki High School. As I think that's Liza and I first met.
I didn't realize Leicester was that new.
Yeah, we were the first class from Leicester.
Oh yeah.
We were?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I met.
You have a good memory.
Yeah, no, I mean, because like that's where I was from. So like that was the first middle school we had. Up until that point, it was 7 through 12 at Kubasaki. So I went to Kubasaki as 7th grader, 8th grade went to Leicester, and then went back as a freshman. So
Interesting.
Kubasaki High School, like the same one we went to in high school.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, I met them at Leicester, like Co said. I don't remember like the first time I remember the first time I saw Liza. I don't know why I remember this. It wasn't the first time we spoke. I don't even remember how we became friends. I think it was through Brandy. But I remember in Spanish class and Liza walked in like a little, like she was like the last one to walk in. She had like her little bubble hairstyle. Remember the little bubble? And she just walked in like super confident. And I just remember thinking like, oh dang.
I had that. Liza was that chick.
Like basically like, what's up everybody? Like, you know, and I was like, oh God. That was the first time I remember seeing her, but I don't remember the first time we like met and started talking.
So we were in Spanish class.
Yeah, we probably met in Spanish class. I think you were friends with Brandy first, and Brandy was my neighbor. And I think I started like I think I must have met you through her, but I actually don't remember. I just remember it was at Leicester in 8th grade. And I don't remember how I met Co either. We've just always been friends and I can't even remember like.
But you and him met in Leicester, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was my first year there. That was my first time there. So.
Okay.
It was probably one of those things where you just started talking to each other. Like I feel like that happens a lot in the military is you just start talking to people and then it grows from there. If you're still there after a certain amount of time, then yeah, you become friends. Otherwise you start talking, but then if one of you guys leaves, then make new friends, right?
I just have that memory of Spanish class though for some reason. I've always
first impression.
Yeah, it was like my first impression. I was like, oh snap! She just walked up in here like
she owned the place.
Yeah, Liza definitely has that energy like that.
Here, what's up?
And everybody was like, oh hey Liza, and I was like, who's she? Like she just. That's what I remember.
I think did we get probably to Okinawa before you guys did? Because I was there for Zuckerman Elementary School. I was in 5th grade and 6th. So
I was there in 92.
I think by that time, obviously, you kind of get to know everybody. So I was more comfortable probably. I wasn't the newbie on the island. So yeah, I had that comfort, like, what's up?
And Steve was at Kubasaki, how much older is Steve than you? Or
Just
what grade was he?
2 years.
Okay.
So I think he kind of obviously, being a troublemaker, he paved the way for me.
Yeah.
So I was very comfortable by the time I got to.
I get my brother on you. Oh man.
I
heard her say that one time. I was like, oh, who's her brother? I was like, oh man.
Really?
I think I did my own thing.
I said, oh man.
That's so funny.
I remember Karen was the troublemaker between the two of us because the teachers, once she started 9th grade, the teachers would come to me and be like, is anything going on at home? Karen's attitude lately has been pretty bad. I was like, no, she's just got attitude.
I was no longer their freshman. Was I their freshman year? Yeah, I was there, I think.
Yeah.
You left
because I was a senior.
Yeah.
Or even like with cheerleading with Miss Hamler, she was just like, is Karen gonna give me attitude? I'm like, I can't promise she won't, but she has fun doing it. So
that was like some people, like when they go through that phase in life, right? They wild out, right? They like do other things. My act of rebellion was like talking back, or like not talking back really, because even my version of talking back is probably like not like yeah, you know what I mean. But for me, that was my thing. Like I'm gonna say, oh, they're not gonna talk to me like that. Like, you know what I mean? That was like my form of like standing up for myself, or rebellion, I guess. Yeah. So attitude, confidence, whatever you want to call it.
I guess that's better than what you could have done, right? So
Yeah.
So.
Bad though. 'Cause Co, do you and Liza, were you in our home ec class in 8th grade? That poor woman, we were so like hard on her, like not mean to her, but we were like rambunctious in that home economics class. And like Robbie Shuford was in there and he used to stand on the table.
I did. Yeah, he was crazy.
If I could see her, I would apologize to her because I think we were we were wilding out in that class.
What was that guy's name that used to play the Johnny? Oh man, every morning he was an English teacher, I think it was.
Oh, Johnny Tremaine.
Johnny Tremaine, man. Oh my God, what was the teacher's name?
I
You remember?
remember the book.
Who?
I don't remember his name, but I remember that book we
Yeah,
read.
Johnny Tremaine. He was a little. I think he like lost his wits.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry, that's just a flashback. Johnny Tremaine. It was an audiobook, I think, before audiobooks were even popular, or it might have been him reading it. I don't know, but every morning was like the story of Johnny Tremaine. Anyway, sorry.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
He would be like, when somebody did something wrong. Sorry, we're so digressing. Sorry, but when he
No, it's fine.
got in trouble, remember he would be like, "Give me 64," and you had to write down like 64 times, like I will not whatever in class or whatever. And I always remember saying, "Give me 64," and he would say it so calmly, like, "Give me 64." That was hilarious. I don't remember his name though. I don't remember.
Jones or something.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. What was your question, Jen?
How you guys first met? I think that was the original question.
There. That's where we met.
All right. So well, we'll get, I guess, talk about this just a little bit. The race and ethnicity. So Co and Karen, you guys are both mixed, and we're both all mixed with being half Okinawan, and then Liza, you're full Filipino, so you're Asian. Do you guys think that maybe your race and or ethnicities played a part in you guys becoming friends and staying friends, and those having things in common, or physical appearances, food, traditions, or anything like that? How do you think that played a part in your friendship, if it did at all?
For me, it didn't. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really see race, color during that time. And I think I've always had a mix of friends, like Black, white. I just never saw race and color at that age. It was never like a factor. Growing up, yes, of course, the similarities that we like the same food, the same things. Values, obviously, being Asian, we hold a lot of traditional values. So I think as I grew older, that's very important. But at that time, I didn't see anything, to be honest. We're just like, if we got along, we click, great. And I think Karen and I always talks about it, that we had a lot of different race background with our, different friends in Japan. So, but I've never honestly seen like, oh, she's Black. I never saw, not at that time for me.
I agree. I think that because we talked about it in the other podcast, Jen, like being in the military environment, you just naturally grow up with diversity, right? Like it's the norm. Like it's normal to be around like a different group of people all the time. And so I completely agree with Liza. Like initially, no, that wasn't a factor at all. But I think that through the years, we connected more, like through that, like, you know what I mean? Like once we're older and we become more aware, you definitely start to connect through that. And I think that, especially with Code too, like our birthdays were one day apart and we were both born on the same island. And I think that's always kind of been like an inside like joke with us, like, oh, because like I think of Code like my brother. So I'm like, he's really like my brother. We were born on the one day apart on the same island, like, you know what I mean? But like I said, initially that I don't think it played a factor at all. But it probably sustaining the friendship like throughout the years the way it did.
Definitely maintaining and definitely like introducing parents the Asian values. Because I remember when just going to the house, going to different people's houses. Like if you have, there's an expectation. Like you better not, your friends better not come in here. They better have their shoes off. Or they better, yes, ma'am. I remember when I first met Liza's mom. Oh man, Kamuskopo, Mrs. Saunders or something. Right? I remember I asked Liza, like, how do I say such and such in Tagalog? And then so like I think she picked us up or something. I just remember like giving that greeting, and just that like the small subtle Asian tendencies and manners, like it just shows respect and okay, he's good. Because I had friends that go to my house and they don't speak to my mother or they don't do certain things. It's just like, oh, who is this guy? Or who is this person? Why are their shoes on? Or why aren't they saying such and such? So like just having that Asian background, the manners and the culture definitely helped. Because if they had bad manners, or if they called my mother by her first name, which I've had before, it's like, oh no, you can't come back to the house.
That is
Sorry.
that is a thing. And that's a thing with me even now, like with my kids. Like I do not let my children call adults their first name.
Right.
I'm like, it is Mr., Mrs., rank and last name if you're gonna call them something. Like I had a friend, they're like, oh, she can call me this. And I was like, no, they can call you Miss this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, and yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that. Or yes, like I don't understand too, like, why can't people understand you take your shoes off at the front door? Because now you're tracking in all the nasty, the squirrel pee, the goose poop, the dog pee and poop, the rabbit pee, like all that you're stepping on all of that outside. But yeah, I think, yeah, when you have that, or even in the military just in general, because of the diversity and you start to have those friends, those are all things that you can understand. Like, man, my husband wore shoes in the house earlier today and I was like, why do you got your shoes on?
Yeah.
Please take your shoes off.
I think for you to be my friend was like, okay, you're gonna have to address my parents, the Mr. and Mrs., or you cannot be my friend. It's one of those like requirement, like, all right, let me see if you're gonna pass this, you know, because it was really like a big deciding factor, because my parents for sure, friends has no respect. Don't bring them. I mean, that's, I don't know. I think really in an Asian culture, that's expected. You know? And while raising my son here, there's not really in Simi Valley. It's always first name, you know, adults. And I'm like, someone called me Liza. I was like, ooh, no, we don't do that. You know, I tell Angel, like, please correct your friend, because the next time I'm going to correct them. I don't want them to get offended, because, you know, kids these days are very soft. But I'm like, you are not going to address me in my house by my first name. I'm an adult. And, you know, Angel doesn't understand that, obviously, you know, so I always have to explain it's how we grow up. It's what I expect. It's an expectation. But I think when you have an Asian background, that's not even, you don't even have to even think about it, because I think your friends kind of know that. So for me, I think that kept at such a young age with Karen and Co. It's like, okay, cool. You know, they're respectful of my parents. We can move on. So that I think was also a big factor, that respecting for adults is how I'm going to keep my friends, because you can't come over to my house calling my mom Mercedes and Tony. Like,
I would rather not say anything, because I've like had friends where I'm like, what do I call your parents? What are your parents' last name? And they're like, oh, just call them Mary. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. Like what? And they're like, I don't know. Like, and it would turn into like a big thing. Yeah. Like, I'm like, I need to know what your parents' name is. And then how do I address them? Because otherwise I just am not going to say a name at all, because I would rather not call them by their first name, or I'll call them Miss or Mrs. or Mr. So, but yeah, no, yeah, that's a big thing. Oh, you had said something, and so language. So it's so something that I remember in growing up in the military and having friends whose moms were Asian, whether it be Filipino, Thai, Japanese, Korean, whatever, is so, you know, a lot of our moms have accents, right? Because their language, the English is their second language, not their first language. And so I don't know about you guys, but for me, like growing up, it was a lot, like I could understand everybody's moms with their accents. Like as an adult, I don't hear it as often, so it might be a little harder for me to understand the accent a little bit more when the moms are talking. But did you guys feel like that was something when you were young, like you could understand everybody perfectly fine, whereas maybe other people were like, I don't know what they said, their accent was too strong?
Definitely. I go, all my friends, like my mom speaks super fast. And then, so they're like, just, and then what you say? So I'd have to translate, but like, along with that, I'll keep it at that. Definitely language. Most of my friends had a hard time. My American friends had a hard time relating or just being able to communicate with my mom.
Yeah. About you guys, Karen, Liza, do you have anything to say on it?
Well,
it didn't bother me. Like, I mean, when I would go to your house and speak to your mom, I mean, I understood her fine.
Right.
Fine, you know. Same thing with coast, even right now. So it was not like, oh, what is your mom saying? Or like right now I see kids like with an accent, even my own son, like, oh mom, you're so Asian, like my accent. And I'm like, that could be insulting for other people, but he will start mocking me because some of the stuff that I say, and I'm like, I do know I have an accent, but I know it's not that strong either, or that thick that you can't understand what I'm saying, but for me, I think when I come over the house, it never was like, oh my God, I can't understand your mom. It was just, okay, for me, I truly understood. I knew what she was saying, what they were saying. It was just never like a factor to me either, where I think these days it's like, oh my God, your mom has a fake accent. So Asian. What's so Asian? I speak 2 languages. How many do you guys speak? So.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's honestly, I didn't even notice, like, again, some of the things that we grew up with were just normal to us, right?
Mhm.
Like my mom having an accent, honestly, like I know she has an accent, but I can't even really tell she has an accent because that's how I grew up hearing her talk. So like it was always very fluid and normal to me. It wasn't until probably I got older, maybe even when we were in Japan, I remember like somebody told me like that my mom talked like Scooby-Doo.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing because I thought, but like, because the R's and the L's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was like, what? And so, but again, I didn't really think anything about it like that until actually probably I was an adult. Like even I got into the workforce, and I even noticed it now that a lot of people, like if you get a call or you're talking to somebody who has like a thicker accent, a lot of people who are not exposed to that a lot, will be like, Karen, can you take this call because I just can't understand what they're saying. And like when I talk to them, they to me they sound normal. Yeah, they have an accent, but I don't have any trouble understanding. But I do recognize and notice that some people do, and maybe it does. I've never thought about it in that context, but maybe it does have something to do with our background and our experiences growing up. I don't know.
I feel like go ahead, Ko. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, too, I think growing up in the military and then being mixed race and having that diversity around us and having like people, our friends' moms or dads with the accents, like we gain a better respect for people who were English as their second language. And so whereas some other people get annoyed or frustrated, I feel like people in the military tend to be more respectful and more patient with people. And it's not because they speak more than one language. I don't. Like they know a lot more words than I do. So, okay, what were you gonna say, Ko?
Just saying, I guess understanding broken English too, and being able to understand what they're trying to say, even though they're not communicating as effectively or using full sentences. Like I'm comfortable with that because my mom would say that type of stuff, or she would say, or she wouldn't. I would just already know what direction she's trying to go into, and then kind of like read context clues and take hints. So even though that she's not speaking clearly or pronunciating or her cadence is off, if I go to a different household, I can understand, okay, well, this Russian mom is saying this, but she's trying to say this. So I can kind of translate and communicate that way too. So having mixed friends and backgrounds helps with all that. Yeah. Understanding, I guess.